We got some new aircraft, some new special effects, and a bunch of other awesome news today from Microsoft Flight Simulator and some other simulators, so stick around, guys. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides from Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future releases that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below. Aerodynamics has brought some new information into their upcoming freeware KC10 DC-10 series of aircraft. Here we can see the texturing is definitely coming along with some very serious detail being put into it. Seeing the undercarriage of the aircraft, you can see that they are sparing no expense or time in putting in all the detail. As you can see, all the different hydraulic lines, linkage points, bolts, etc. Even the tire tread markings are obviously being worked on and paid very close attention to. This aircraft is going to be a different enhancement, if you will, to Microsoft Flight Simulator, especially if they're able to truly model air-to-air refueling. I think that's where this aircraft is going to shine the most. And again, that same quality seems to be being applied to just about every part of the aircraft. Here we can see the engine with the cowlings opened up. How it's doing it while it's airborne, well, we won't talk about that part. Somebody's probably having a bad day. But again, a ton of detail and effort being put into this. And for a freeware project, gosh, I can't talk today, this is very, very stunning. And it really shows the dedication that the team has to developing and producing a high quality model of the DC-10 KC-10 series of aircraft. Now, we have no idea of knowing how high fidelity, or dare I say study level, this aircraft is going to be upon its release, but you can see from the texture work they're at least paying very close attention to a lot of the details. And I can only imagine that that attention to detail is going to follow with many of the other systems and features within inside of the aircraft. Especially as the interior models are showing just as much detail and attention that we were seeing on the exterior. The shading and depth and overall wear and tear of the aircraft that you can see is definitely starting to show here. The reflection off the glass cockpit, or not glass cockpit, the glass gauges is definitely showing, again, some pretty awesome feature in the visual aspect of the aircraft. These are obviously very early shots, so it's hard to say what's going to be the end result. But again, looking at what they're doing here from the engineering station, it looks like you can see the wear and tear on the edges of each of the panels. You can see the life that has happened inside of this cockpit. And I think that brings a lot to the immersive state of the simulation once you're actually in it and moving around, especially if they really take a lot of time to bring a lot of the features to these. For example, here, the engineering station, create the correct custom camera views that allow you to manipulate this very, very easily. This could be a really fun aircraft to be a part of. Even seeing the vortices and the vapors coming off the leading edge of the wings there, again, goes to show that attention to detail. Now, the biggest thing about this one here is, as I talked about earlier, is this is obviously the KC-10, so that's used for air-to-air refueling. I would really like to see a high-quality air-to-air refueling model inside the simulator. Now, before anyone jumps and says this isn't DCS World or anything like that, no, it's not. But we have a ton of military aircraft that could do AAR. Any of your Air Force aircraft are going to be using the refueling boom, and then any of your naval aircraft, such as the F-18, will be using the refueling drogue. These KC-10s, if memory serves, are able to use both. You can have the drogue come off the boom, or you can have the link up. I can't remember what the plug-in is called. I can't remember what the name of it is now. It's on the tip of my tongue, and so I'm just going to move on. But you guys know what I'm talking about. It would still be a really cool aspect and give you greater use of the combat aircraft that are available in Microsoft Flight Simulator without having the combat experience. One of the things that I always tell, simmers, when they ask, should Microsoft Flight Simulator players, for example, use DCS World? It really depends on what you're looking for. And they'll say, I'm not at all interested in the combat. I have no interest in dropping bombs, shooting missiles, blah, blah, blah. And so I get to talking to them, about all the different features, especially if you're a rotor head. If you love the helicopter operations, DCS World is awesome, especially if you just want to use transport, actually, hover over an object, have your cables hooked up to an object and deliver packaging or logistics to another base, troop transport. But one of the bigger things that DCS World shines in is air-to-air refueling. You can spend hundreds of hours in Microsoft or in DCS World doing AAR. It's really challenging. It's very, very tough to do and tough to get good at, especially when you throw night operations into the mix of it. I do find the naval aircraft to be easier than the Air Force, but we'll get onto that on a different day. So if they could bring something like that to Microsoft Flight Simulator that's highly modeled, that truly gives you that experience of what it means to try to do AAR, I think that'd be a ton of fun, and that would further enhance the welcome feeling, if you will, of combat aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I'm really excited for this one. I know it's still very early game. It's very hard to say what is going to be the end result. I know I've heard talks of there being some AAR, but I don't know that I don't know that I've ever seen any confirmation that it's going to be a feature that would be available, because the thing is that the joining aircraft would have to support that feature as well. So it could be pretty tough to do. But this could be a really cool thing to have in Microsoft Flight Simulator if they're able to bring those features to it. Now, obviously, you have the DC-10, which can be used for cargo or commercial transport. But for me, the KC-10 is the one that's got my attention if, again, the aforementioned features are there. Let me know what you guys think down below. Another release from South Oak, the developer of the real effects for the 747-8i, has now released another version, this one aimed at the A320. Now let's get this one right out of the bag. First start here. The A320s that are supported are going to be the default A320neo and the Flybywire A320. And my guess would be because both of those obviously use the default base or the default model as a base platform. I know the Flybywire has changed significantly over the years, but I believe it is still using the same basic texturing. In which I imagine this would be required. So to talk about some of the things that this is adding to the experience with the A320, again, default and fly-by-wire, you have the engine intake vortices, St. Elmo's fire, engine strake vortices, wing condensation, engine intake condensation, flap trailing vortices, engine jet blast from rain or snow, smoke for overheated brakes, that one could be kind of cool, engine fires, that's an interesting one. I don't know that I want to experience that, but at the same token, I do. Engine and APU startup smoke, so that could be kind of awesome. That's definitely going to bring a lot of life to the exterior, as well as enhanced three-dimensional landing lights, as well as finally contrails. So the improved contrails look absolutely phenomenal, you guys. I will be picking this version up. I didn't grab the 747-8i because I just don't fly it enough to justify it for my personal stake here. However, excuse me, the A320 version, I will be grabbing this. You guys will be seeing this showcased on the channel. We'll throw it in some nasty weather and see what kind of things appear. The thing that I really enjoy about the real effects is they didn't just add random effects to happen at random times. I'm telling you, I can't talk today. But what they did do is make sure that any effect that is meant to happen based on environmental conditions, that's when they'll happen. So if you're real gentle on the brakes, you're not going to get the overheated brakes and things like that. So it's going to be one of those, like, you have to land and really slam down on the brakes in order to get an overheated brake effect. Same thing with the engine vortices, intake contrails, or condensation, things like that. Moisture and things like that have to be in the right levels and right positions in order for the effect to actually take place. So yeah. So stick around for the channel, guys, because again, I will be showcasing this one. This one's definitely got my appeal. I fly the A320 still more than often enough, and I actually do prefer the fly-by-wire. And that's just me, guys. The A320 from Phoenix, I want to make very clear before anyone jumps into it, before you say it. The Phoenix A320 is an absolutely phenomenal, amazing representation of the Airbus A320. I am not disputing that at all. Okay, I think it's because I started with the fly-by-wire A320, and it's one of those aircraft that I've just always gone back to. I own the Phoenix. I'm a proud owner of the Phoenix, and just before anyone says it, I know. Pilots has released their first update to the Dash 7, calling this version 1.12, and this has improvements for all models based on feedback from the community. Some of those fixes and adjustments are updates to the edge strobe lights. Flap retraction animation has been improved, and a new parking brake click spot to make it much easier to use and engage. Gosh, I got the hiccups. The other really cool thing about this one is it does finally give compatibility with the PMS-50 GTN 750. So if you guys are big fans of the GTN 750 from PMS, that is now available in the Dash 7. Now there's a few other things that I really hope that they enjoyed. I will be updating the aircraft and flying it once again here on the channel, sporting the new update. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and ring that bell so you get notified of future content. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. By the way, this aircraft can be picked up from Pilot Store Direct for 19.99 euros. Black Box Simulations has released the Shorts 330 and 360 aircraft. These aircraft are primarily STOL aircraft used for both regional and, used for both cargo and commercial transport, as well as military activity in its history as well. The 360 is a larger version of the 330, but both of them sporting a very low cost of operation, as well as, like I said, short takeoff or landing operation in both aircraft. So you can take this aircraft just about anywhere you want to go. It has been used in both the United States as well as all over countries all over the world. Again, primarily for short hops, your short regional flights. But they've done an absolutely fantastic job bringing multiple variants of the aircraft to the simulator, as well as tons of different liveries. The team did a great job modeling both exterior and interior of the aircraft. You can see here the cockpit, although the image is hopefully still looking pretty good for you guys. I've had to zoom it in quite a bit, but they've definitely brought a lot of detail to the aircraft. Now it's coming with a ton of different variants. I believe total 9 different variants of the aircraft. And so that's going to bring a price point of this particular package to, I believe it was $49.99 on Black Box's website. So if you guys are interested in picking that package up, that's where it can be found. Finally, some good news for Verpo Collective users such as myself. Verpo has announced their balancing kit that will essentially add some extra tension to the back end of the Collective, reducing the sag or tendency for the Collective to fall back down to the idle position when it's no longer being held. Now, this is a pre-release announcement of the product. The product is said to hopefully start shipping sometime in January of 2024. It can be pre-ordered for 19.99 euros on the Verpo website. This is a product I will definitely be picking up and showcasing here on the channel. I love my Verpo Collective. I absolutely love it. It was a game changer. It has completely changed the way I fly helicopters. I highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in that. But this was definitely one of the things that I have also experienced, is that what will happen is there are times where I will go to let go of the Collective. Say I'm flying along, I'm at 2,000 feet, whatever it may be. I go to let go of the Collective to do something else with my left hand, and the Collective falls. And it always does it very slowly so I can catch it. But obviously, anytime the Collective drops to the bottom, that's going to be a bad thing no matter what your flight conditioning is. So this is a really, really welcomed enhancement. I'm really looking forward to it. It is supported on all Verpo Collective products if you guys are interested in checking that out. And for me, 19.99 euros, I believe, is well within reason as far as the price point for this edition. That is going to wrap up today's Microsoft Flight Simulator news and updates. We got some awesome hardware coming, some really cool aircraft coming, a bunch of aircraft that are already now available. Definitely going to be a very busy week in the simulator. I hope you guys continue to stay tuned and watch the channel for reviews of a lot of these updates and new features that are now coming down the line, as well as the aircraft that we've mentioned here today. As always, above all else, you guys stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.